Those of you who are here for the first time, we cannot wait to meet you. We at Gartner advise C-level executives across all business functions and industries. And guess what? They all need technology to be successful. 89% of directors in our global board survey tell us that digital is now embedded in all their business strategies. Digital acceleration is a priority for CEOs and the entire executive team. The role of the CIO has also expanded in some interesting ways. 83% of CIOs have taken on strategic, non-IT leadership roles. Digital has become a team sport, and the entire executive team is playing. You, the CIO, are the digital head coach. That is your most important leadership role. But which digital investments are the right choice for you? And how do you ensure success? That's what we're here to help you with. This week, you have access to our experts who will provoke you, provide thought leadership, and practical advice. We will give you the leadership insights you need to help you meet the moment and make the difference. It all begins right here, right now.
The joyful spinning of childhood made us feel like we could fly. A world in perpetual motion from the moment we arrive. Life in beautiful revolutions. Ever turning, ever changing. But with each rotation comes challenges. The opportunity to try and try again. To grow, to fly. Places we couldn't go previously. Now, within reach. Find your balance. Meet the moment. Make the difference.
Hello, Kochi. We are back, and it feels great. It's been quite a ride, hasn't it? A pandemic, rampant inflation, social upheaval, climate change, floods, droughts, and of course, geopolitical tensions. I don't know about you, but I still feel very optimistic. Because in spite of all the disturbances, the stresses, and the disruptions that we've had over the past couple of years, somehow the world still keeps on spinning, providing us every day with many opportunities to meet this moment and to make a difference. So let's just rewind a bit. During the pandemic, which was truly a game-changing moment, you created a wave of digital technology that helped to keep the world functioning. Now we're in another tricky moment, and the world needs you again. Boards, CEOs, world leaders, you and I are facing a ton of global disruptions. This new data from our Boards of Directors survey shows that the top focus areas for the board are the economy, and yes, the economy. And if we look at what's next on the board's list, we find some of the causes of the economic uncertainty. Talent shortages, changing business models, escalating energy costs, and shifting customer and societal behavior. And at the same time, we are dealing with a radical increase in cybersecurity attacks. And even as we've increased our digital investment, the black hats have ramped up their attacks. Yes, this is tough, but it also creates new opportunities for CIOs to make the difference.
Let's see what CEOs think. Our global CEO survey shows that CEOs have been deprioritizing growth over the last few years. It is still their first priority, but with less intensity than previously. Why? Because they don't have enough talent or raw materials. They can't make supply meet demand. So the growth curve has dropped. Your digital leadership can bend the curve back up. The average CEO expects less growth, but our global CIO survey shows that as a huge contrast, organizations that are digital leaders expect 3 times, yes, 3 times more growth. To be clear, high digital maturity organizations expect revenue growth rates that are 3 times higher than the low digital maturity organizations. Today, we will share IT force multipliers that will help you create growth, but in a different way than in the past. What do the world, your employees, your customers, your investors need from you right now? They need IT for sustainable growth. Now, this is where you can really make the difference. Sustainable growth in traditional financial terms means growth that is repeatable without taking on financial debt. But sustainable growth is more than just financial results. It also includes growth that is ethical and environmentally sustainable. Now let's add IT to the mix. IT for sustainable growth is a set of digital investments that deliver financial results in an efficient and responsible way, because now is the time to go for it.
And while the world is pitching and rolling, it's also still spinning. But in physics, spinning is well good. Gyroscopes use spinning and rotation to create stability. Gimbals are what stabilize gyroscopes. They are life-changing. They are in our cars, ships, planes, satellites, spaceships, even our cell phones. As a pilot, or more accurately, a pilot in training, I wouldn't know which way was up in the clouds without gyros. I can assure you, while spinning is good in a gyroscope, spinning is never good in an airplane. So this represents your sustainable growth. It looks a little bit wobbly, doesn't it? And needs some help. There are 3 critical gimbals you need to leverage IT to drive sustainable growth. First, revolutionize work by hypertech enabling the workforce to create sustainable performance. Second, drive responsible investment. Stakeholders are demanding products that are fit for purpose and do no harm. And third, implement resilient cybersecurity to deliver sustainable protection. Put the 3 together, and you get IT for sustainable growth. We'll discuss IT force multipliers to meet the moment, make the difference, and perhaps help keep our world spinning on its axis. IT for sustainable growth begins with revolutionizing work. My colleague Burt will show you how.
We have a unique opportunity. The pandemic that sent so many workers home also significantly increased their digital skills and their appetite for technology. 71% of all workers see digital technologies as essential to their jobs, and 74% see improving their digital skill sets as important for business success. You are at the epicenter of the global talent crisis, and you know this. So what is your go-to-market to win the competition for top enterprise talent? To win, you must create a powerful IT-enabled brand. And you must make sure that the reality matches the perception. However difficult it is for the rest of your enterprise to recruit and retain talent, it is even more difficult to recruit people with really good technology skills. And what your organization may not realize is that you and IT are at the epicenter of the talent solution. IT now matters more than ever in the recruitment, retention, and high performance of all enterprise employees, not just IT. Let's look at some new data that may surprise you. First, technology's role in recruitment. We surveyed job seekers, and one of their top 3 pain points included annoying or cumbersome job application technologies or portals. And many of these annoyed individuals abandoned the application process, actually turned down a job offer, or wrote a really bad review about the company. And how about technology and retention? Workers satisfied with their enterprise IT applications are twice as inclined to stay in their organizations. That's a huge impact on retention. And how about technology and performance? Workers who have all the technology they need are less fatigued, have a higher intent to stay, and are higher performing. Now, here in the Asia-Pac region, only 25%, that's only 1 in 4, report that they have all the technology they need to work effectively. But let's take heart, because this means there is a tremendous opportunity for CIOs to meet this moment and make the difference in people's lives. Employers who revolutionize work and empower their workers with technology will become the employers of choice. Be the employer of choice, not the employer of no choice who cannot attract or retain the best talent. I'm going to focus on 3 force multipliers that will make you an employer of choice and create sustainable performance for your enterprise. First multiplier, take the friction out of work. Friction is like sand in the gears of your bike. It's a negative multiplier that really erodes performance. It will make every hill seem bigger, and seemingly small things will have a very large disruptive impact. Now, we define friction as when work is unnecessarily hard. We all have work friction, and we always have. So why deal with it now? Because burned out employees are completely out of patience. And the reality is this: the more friction points you have, the worse your employee performance and retention will be. Up to a 35% drop in employee intent to stay. So now is the time to identify the friction points in your enterprise and ruthlessly eliminate them. Please don't wait. Edelweiss, an Indian financial service firm, is a really great example of reducing friction. They took the opportunity to make a difference by eliminating repetitive, dull, and demoralizing work and manual processing to accelerate SME lending and reduce processing costs by 30%. So by investing in digital skills to create an automated, low-code digital lending platform, they improved their employees' user experience and at the same time delighted their customers. To be clear, this isn't about eliminating jobs. This is about getting rid of the work that absolutely no one wants to do. So please ask yourself, where can you ruthlessly eliminate friction so you can re-energize your employees and make room for great performance? Second multiplier, invest aggressively in AI augmentation. If we want to create sustainable performance, we must rethink our relationship with productivity. Okay, so stop focusing on productivity and start focusing on impact. Trying to push more productivity out of a fragile talent pipeline is simply not going to work. What employees need are tools and technologies that empower them and increase the impact of their work. We all want our work to have a meaningful impact. And AI augmentation is a force multiplier because it can increase the impact of your employees by extending their reach, their range, and their capabilities. Let's take decision-making as an example, a very common work friction point. The data science and advanced analytics team at Unity Health Toronto developed an AI model that can predict the risk of an admitted patient requiring intensive care or dying within the next 48 hours. The model assesses the patient hourly using over 100 different variables. Now, the job of the physician is not to blindly follow the prediction of the AI system, but to use that data to help assess why the patient's risk is high and determine which type of care would best prevent the patient from becoming worse. And a medical association concluded, AI is not going to replace physicians, but physicians who use AI are going to replace physicians who don't. The high-impact workforce of the future is AI-enabled, and you have a powerful role to play here. So use AI augmentation to increase the impact of workers who would benefit from AI insights. And now, multiplier 3. Experiment with the highly visible and the highly hyped. Yes, you heard me right. Gartner is advising you to invest in the highly hyped. And I know you're thinking this is just wrong, especially in a potential downturn. And note that I also said highly visible, and that sounds risky. Why would we want to experiment publicly with something that is highly likely to fail? Here's why. First, organizations that innovate during tough economic times stay ahead of the pack. And second, enterprises who innovate publicly attract the best new pack members. For example, how many of you are struggling with hybrid work? Many frustrated CIOs have said to us, well, this was much easier when we were all in the office or all out of this office. This in-between hybrid thing is incredibly difficult. And yes, it is. And many executives are concerned that hybrid work is damaging corporate culture. So they're trying to turn back the clock by mandating employee time in physical offices. Not surprisingly, this is not working. It is now a myth that culture only happens in corporate offices. Your enterprise culture now happens in an endless number of digital spaces and experiences. So technology is at the new epicenter of corporate culture. Just let me say that again. It's technology is at the new epicenter of corporate culture. So what digital spaces can be created to show who you are and what you value? How about an introverse? An introverse is an emerging virtual office concept that incorporates technologies to bring employees together in immersive meetings to connect, collaborate, and innovate. And yes, introverses are still nascent. And if I'm honest, in my ideal introverse, we can actually eat my favorite snacks, real laddus and real samosas. But the point is this: get in early. Just imagine how your employees would feel if you invested just a little in these new immersive technologies and let them experiment and find ways to make an impact. Gartner predicts that it will take between 5 and 10 years for immersive technologies to become mainstream. Get in now, because this matters for talent. If you experiment with emerging technologies like this early on the curve, you will attract and retain the kind of talent that wants to stay ahead of the pack. This year, HiRect, a startup company right here in India, launched an immersive job fair for companies attempting to attract the best talent. Candidates and potential employers entered this metaverse with their own VR equipment. Your willingness to publicly experiment with new technologies and take some risks will send a powerful message about your organizational culture and its ambitions. Use these force multipliers to make the difference in attracting, retaining, and engaging the best talent in every skill category for your enterprise. Next, you'll need to ensure that your workforce can deliver sustainable results. And my colleague, Naveen Mishra, will show you how.
Who doesn't love 2-for-1 deals, especially for us Indians during Diwali? What if I told you there was a way for you to get a 2-for-1s as a CIO? Responsible investment is a 2-for-1 deal for achieving sustainable growth and returns. What it does is deliver both financial and sustainability outcomes at the same time. And by sustainability, we mean environmental, social, and governance. Responsible investment matters to people. Employees get the opportunity to make a difference. Customers get solutions that align with their values, and investors get a more attractive return. Your previous investments in digital are already driving financial outcomes. For example, globally, financial service leaders have used digital to increase net promoter scores and reduce operating costs. Government mainstream adopters, especially with mechanisms like UPI, have transformed the digital landscape here in India. The next phase of digital will power sustainability outcomes. Digital technology and sustainability creates a virtuous cycle. Digital increases sustainability maturity, and sustainability increases digital maturity. So, for example, using digital solutions, Ultratech Cement is partnering with 80 municipal corporations across India to convert waste headed for landfills into alternative fuels. In 2021, over 3% of companies' fuel requirement was met by using these alternative fuels. That's a 2-for-1 investment. The World Economic Forum estimates that digital could reduce emissions up to 10% by 2030. What this means is that executives like you can use digital to eliminate the carbon emissions of roughly the equivalent of every car, every bus, and every taxi in the world today, and yes, autos in India as well. For my attendees from Delhi, you remember those clean skies in 2020? If there was a time for responsible investment, that moment is now. You need 3 force multipliers that will help you meet the moment and make the difference. These force multipliers are 2-for-1s because they will create both a financial and a sustainability return. Let's get into our first force multiplier: intelligent, connected infrastructure. Some of you may know this. I'm from Delhi. We are getting unexpected rain this year, leading to waterlogging and making roads impassable. So sometimes I get into my car and I see a message that says, heavy rain today. But that really isn't useful information because I can see the rain out from my window as well. Now imagine, I got a pop-up message while driving my car during the rains that says, road flooded in 1 kilometer, choose alternate route. And imagine this message is coming from the road itself. This is Intelligent Connected Infrastructure, or ICI for short. It's here, And it won't be long before your kids wonder how you ever manage driving without the road talking to your car. ICI is like real-time air traffic control system for roads, ports, and airports. It's a combination of technologies like IoT, AI, low Earth orbit satellites, and edge that are integrated in a mesh fabric. Infrastructure used to be silent, but ICI gives it a voice. ICI can increase growth for businesses too. Algeciras port is located in south of Spain. It is the 4th largest European port. And here is the thing about ports. Every extra minute costs money. A delay at the beginning has a cascading effect all the way to the final customer, you. Supply chain issues? Does it ring a bell? Algeciras Port uses a blend of technologies, AI, IoT, 5G cloud, VR, and AR to reduce the ideal time of a vessel by 12% and greenhouse carbon emissions by 10%, 2 for 1. Invest in ICI to increase growth for cities and businesses and to improve lives for citizens. Let's turn to another 2 for 1 force multiplier. Yes, autonomous sourcing. Autonomous sourcing is kind of online matrimony with suppliers, but without all the riffraff. How are you going to find a supplier with unique skills and resources? You need to pursue a new opportunity. Your perfect match. The answer is autonomous sourcing. Autonomous sourcing uses AI, ML, NLP to give you access to a much wider range of suppliers, and it automates the process. Fidelity Investments is using autonomous sourcing to gain access to 30,000 supply chain and talent partners. Fidelity has reduced the cost associated with supplier deals by 20%. Getting an RFP out of the door, we used to take 4 to 6 weeks. Now it takes less than a day. Remember what Mim said about removing friction at work? That's removing friction. Fidelity didn't used to have information about supplier sustainability, but with autonomous sourcing, more of their supplier spend is now going to a wider and more diverse range of sustainable suppliers. Invest in autonomous sourcing to increase efficiency and improve supplier sustainability. Now let's turn to our last 2 for 1 force multiplier. Digitally reducing energy uses. Gartner predicts that by 2030, digital technologies will reduce 10 to 20% of the carbon emissions required to limit global warming. We are going to use every tool in the toolbox to make this happen. You know what you need to do. Put the enterprise on an energy diet and start with IT. Optimize compute and storage utilization. Include energy efficiency in your choices of architecture, vendors, capacity, and operations. And in AI, make sure it's going to help more than hurt. Reduce AI model training that only brings marginal increase in accuracy. And leverage hardware that optimize for machine learning tasks. However, the bigger gains are usually going to come from putting the whole enterprise on an energy diet. But this sounds kind of overwhelming. Where do you start? What do you even do? The answer is, let digital do the work for you by building an energy management and optimization system, or EMOS for short. Wouldn't be a Gartner keynote without a new acronym. EMOS consumes energy data from meters and sensors, and then these applications use AI and advanced analytics to manage loads and optimize energy. And let me tell you, estimates suggest that India has more than 75 AI in energy startups. The purpose of an EMOS is to reduce energy uses by making proactive, data-led decisions in near real time. So here is an example. Tata Power has started using AI and ML for energy management as household level. That's a 2-for-1 because customers get more accurate bills and Tata Power gets a better consumption and load management. Given this is so new, we can expect both financial and environmental benefits for enterprises and users. Invest in digital to reduce energy uses, cost, and emissions. Here is what I want you to remember. 2-for-1s are responsible investment. Invest to create both financial and sustainability benefits in a way that's secure for both you and your customers. My colleague Partha Iyengar will show you how.
Most executives treat security like magic, and CIOs like wizards who cast protection spells. If something goes wrong, they just blame the wizards. This approach has not served us well. You are being hacked daily. Ransomware is a business model, and business is good. Ransomware gangs have shareholders, service providers, and their own digital marketplaces. Customers need to trust your brand, and IT can't support sustainable growth if it's being held hostage just because an employee clicked on a cat video. Your challenge is that you cannot protect the organization or your customers entirely. Too much security creates disruption, and you can't buy your way out of this. So how are you going to secure all of this? You are not. We need to treat resilient cybersecurity as a business issue that has trade-offs. 88% of boards now view security as a business risk, not a technical one. While brittle cybersecurity is up or down, resilient cybersecurity is always adjusting, sensing, and operating in response with business needs. These are your force multipliers for resilient security that supports growth and protects your brand. The first multiplier, manage your attack surface. Your attack surface amplifies your security challenges, and it might start when you buy software from a company in San Francisco. But they source components from a company based in Barcelona. They have contractors in Hyderabad, and your data is stored in a cloud run out of Singapore. Traditional vendor management helps you know and manage your suppliers, but as we head into cyberspace, the problem gets very, very complex. Each of these dots represents the API, services, and applications supporting your organization. Here are the ones your partners use. Here are the ones their partners use, and so on and so on. This is the complexity of your attack surface. We struggle to track laptops, so let's not kid ourselves that using IT asset management is going to address this reality. Each of these technology components creates risk. Gaining visibility allows you to address that risk. For example, the open source revolution has delivered huge benefits in reuse and created a complex nightmare of dependency risk. Not the type of 2-for-1 that Naveen was talking about. We will be living with Log4j for years because it is buried 7 layers deep in so many common open source libraries. According to Veracode, 77% of flaws in open source libraries still are not fixed after 3 months. And to add to that, 79% of the time, your developers never even update those libraries anyway. According to Black Kite, 58% of ransomware victims had backdoors open to the internet, which means you have tens of thousands of these vulnerabilities through everything you use. And that situation isn't going to change soon. Here is a golden opportunity for technology. There are 3 technologies you will need to leverage. First, use external attack surface management to orchestrate all your actions and investments. EASM is a process governance and management technology to discover all your vulnerable external-facing assets. Second, use software composition analysis to identify and control your open source libraries and manage your software bill of materials. And third, use threat intelligence to prioritize and fix vulnerabilities. Despite the massive number of vulnerabilities you face, only a small number of them are exploitable at any given time. So while you need visibility into everything, threat intelligence can tell you what is coming for you right now. While many of these technologies may be new to you, the time to act on them is now. While we are fighting in the trenches across our attack surface, our second multiplier is to align protection to our business outcomes and the people those outcomes serve, your customers. Start by prioritizing your most important business outcomes and your most critical technology dependencies. Do this by identifying the dependencies that have a direct line of sight to your most important business or mission outcomes. For example, here are the 50 systems and applications that support sales. These are the ones supporting manufacturing, and these are the ones supporting your finance team. By using this business outcome approach, you can prioritize the systems that support sustainable growth, like manufacturing and sales, or in government, citizen engagement, or in defense, combat readiness. Now we're getting a better treatment of cybersecurity as a business or mission risk. And we can make better investment decisions that balance the need to protect with the need to achieve our business outcomes and serve our customers. Oh, and money matters. Everyone wants great security until they have to pay for it. So quantifying risk is an important step in allocating our investments. Many organizations use statistical analysis evaluating probability and impact. Unfortunately, this is expensive, complex, and can often be impractical. US telecom provider Verizon chose to focus its quantification on parts of the business that generate value, its assets. They use readily available data to now quantify value and exposure. This allows Verizon to scale to more than 13 million risk assessments a month. And these assessments are used in almost all of their risk-related decisions. But I get it. Many of you don't have the resources to duplicate what Verizon has done, but there are alternatives to achieve similar results. Like our third multiplier, use outcome-driven metrics and protection-level agreements. For your C-level peers, it's not about the technology. It's about the money and the protection. Protection levels are measured through outcome-driven metrics or ODMs, like the time it takes you to patch your systems. The days it takes you to patch your systems is your protection level, and that costs you a certain amount of money. Organizations that patch faster are better protected at higher cost. Organizations that patch slower have lower protection, but they save some money. You can choose your investment and your target level of protection. If it takes you 30 days to patch your systems, that has a certain cost associated with it. You and your C-suite peers may decide that 15-day patching is the right level of protection and that they are willing to pay 1 crore rupees for that. Protection level agreements enable you to make business decisions on how much security you want and how much you want to spend. And it makes security explainable to your board and key stakeholders. To help you with this, Gartner is benchmarking 16 outcome-driven metrics. This benchmark data shows the median number of days that it takes to patch critical servers is 20 days. It takes manufacturing 23 days. It takes insurance 7 days. How long does it take you? The median phishing click-through is 10%, and the median for endpoint compliance is 95%. How about you? These 16 metrics will change the way you report and manage security, guiding your journey to sustainable protection. Peer comparisons enable new types of business decisions. You can choose to be in line with your peers or to be better than them. Consider investing in security as a competitive advantage. Protecting your brand makes you an employer of choice and a supplier of choice to your customers. Protecting your execution supports sustainable growth. Change the way you communicate about security to the board. Stop selling the board on just the value of security tools like patching, and start selling them on the business outcomes that the tool provides, like protecting quarterly revenue. In Gartner research, we call that linkage the business value kill chain, which clearly connects your security investments to business and mission outcomes. So use protection level agreements and the business value kill chain to engage your executives and create a better approach to cyber investment. One that achieves the protection your customers want within the organization's willingness to pay for it. Use these force multipliers to shift from brittle cybersecurity to resilient cybersecurity. To treat cybersecurity as a business risk that needs new approaches to investment. And make the difference by creating sustainable protection.
Even though the world feels kind of wobbly right now, we don't get to opt out. We have to take action and make choices anyway. I'd ask you to resist the temptation to take a step back, because now is the time to take a step forward. I know we're asking you to do a lot, but that's because there's a lot you can do. And we've shown you a variety of technologies, trends, and approaches you can invest in. Now, it's time to make your choices.
Choose the technologies that match the ambitions and risk appetite of your organization. If you want to stay ahead of the pack, hyped up emerging technologies may be for you. If your board is more traditional or risk-averse, then more mature technologies may be better fit. Now it's your turn. Use the force multipliers to make the difference.
Here are the actions you should take to deliver IT for sustainable growth. Revolutionize work by creating an IT-enabled brand. Responsibly invest in 2-for-1s by delivering both financial and sustainability outcomes. Deliver resilient cybersecurity to create long-term competitive advantage. Let me tell you something. You can keep the world spinning, because really you are the ultimate force multiplier. You are the one that will deliver IT for sustainable growth. We know you can, and we know you will. Thank you.
You are the one thing in my way. 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 You are the one thing in my way.